Bring in show music, please.
Hi, I'm CNBC producer Katie Kramer. Today on Squawk Pod. Electric vehicle maker Rivian wants to deliver for the EV curious, and CEO Scaringe has even teamed up with rival Tesla to make chargers.
As we continue to build out our network, in addition to what you see with Tesla, we really think this is an important part of pulling more and more customers into electric vehicles.
And the queen of cable, NBC Vice Chair Bonnie Hammer, has compiled her best and worst career advice for new grads and seasoned workers.
I think we conflate personal worth and professional worth. The only way to prove your worth at work is to work at it.
All that, plus Disney has a bad day, cracking down on Huawei's chip supply, Microsoft doubling down on AI, and FTX customers will finally get their payday.
Shareholders get nothing. This is just people who had money on the platforms.
It's Wednesday, May 8th, 2024. Squawk Pod begins right now.
Stand Becky by in 3, 2, 1. Cue it, please.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Squawk Box right here on CNBC. We are live from the NASDAQ market site in Times Square. I'm Becky Quick along with Joe Kernen and Andrew Ross Sorkin. And here we go.
First up today on the podcast, Disney, one of the world's biggest entertainment companies, had its worst day in about a year and a half. Shares in the company sank 10% Tuesday after Disney missed revenue estimates for the fourth consecutive quarter and hinted that next quarter could be pretty soft in what they call experiences. The silver lining, the expensive streaming business finally turned a profit for the first time. Disney Plus and Hulu made about $47 million in the quarter, while ESPN Plus struggles to launch, losing subscribers and cash to the tune of about $18 million. Chief Financial Officer Hugh Johnston, who joined Disney late last year after a long stint at Pepsi, was on our TV broadcast yesterday.
Maybe most heartening of all was the improvement in direct-to-consumer streaming. Last year, that business lost about $600 million, and the entertainment portion actually made $47 million. That's a couple of quarters ahead of what we said. We said we'd get there in Q4. We got there in Q2. Overall, streaming was up 12%, which led entertainment to 5% revenue growth for the quarter.
Streaming is key to Disney setting itself up for future success. The century-old creative IP giant has found itself fighting for viewers against much newer tech companies like Amazon and Apple. Let's get back to Joe, Becky, and Andrew.
And I was thinking about the Dow managing to close higher yesterday, up 32. Disney was down 11. So what is the divisor now? Is it 7 or 8 or something?
I don't know.
It's a lot, though.
It's a lot,
So the rest of the components.
You know, Hugh did not give us an indication when we talked to him about whether they're trading down, even on experiences, what's going on at the parks. And then if you really look at what happened in the market, it's really on the guidance that was all around the parks. But there was this sort of disconnect on that.
I think there was a disappointment in the subscriber levels, in the subscriber numbers too, for some of the Disney Plus stuff. But it's hard to say how the street's going to read any of this stuff when it comes out.
I think Hugh gets homesick and goes down and checks out which snacks are doing well at the theme parks, or what are people drinking down here? Are they drinking Pepsi?
From his Pepsi days, you mean?
Yeah, don't you think I would miss Pepsi days a little bit.
Let's talk about breaking news right now from the White House. The Biden administration set to announce a $3.3 billion investment by Microsoft for an artificial intelligence data center that's going to be in Racine, in Wisconsin. The White House saying it will create 2,300 union construction jobs and 2,000 permanent positions. The facility will be built on the same land as the failed $10 billion plant once proposed by Taiwan's Foxconn. I believe that plant may be, I don't want to say haunted, but if you remember that, there were a couple of things that were going to go there. It wasn't just Foxconn.
This could go the same way. Yeah.
So let's hope that it does go that way. Meantime, the Biden administration also has now revoked export licenses that allow Intel and Qualcomm to supply Huawei with semiconductors. That's according to an FT report that says that the move affects the supply of chips for Huawei's laptop computers and mobile phones. Meanwhile, Republican lawmakers have been urging President Biden to take tougher action against Huawei, which national security officials say helps the Chinese government engage in cyber espionage around the world. Huawei has denied those claims.
How come the White House is announcing the Microsoft deal? Are they giving them any money for it? It's $3 billion center.
I'm not sure if how much of a tax benefit there's going to be. I assume there's got to be some. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just reading through this quickly.
Full set of the details.
Well, in a corporatist type government, this is how things are done. It's kind of a partnership. Like a China type situation. No.
You're saying that
it's not
this government or the previous government that made the Foxconn deal that didn't work?
Yeah, the Foxconn.
So, yeah,
what did Foxconn? That was a tax deal too, was that Wisconsin too?
I think it was a state.
That was a state
deal
deal.
Because I think it was a state deal in Foxconn because Foxconn had done different deals in different places and it was not meeting up to its end of the bargain for a lot of the state discounts it was supposed to be getting.
You know what I really think? I think Hugh Johnson threw in the towel and said, you know what? We cannot develop a non-carb snack. He tried cauliflower, he tried kale, he tried squash, and he said, you know what? This is too effing hard. I'm going to go fix Disney, which is, I think, easier, isn't it, than a salty snack that does. What do you?
I think that this is actually more challenging. This job.
I'm kidding. I think so too. But every time he was on, we would. Do you have a non-carb snack? You're going to eat pork rinds, those greasy, disgusting things. If you set them on a napkin, the whole thing is saturated. What are you eating for snacks? What are okay snacks for you to eat?
Yogurt and berries.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do the news, Joe.
Never. You're going to tell me? Yeah. Yogurt and berries. I'm not surprised, but I need Fritos.
You can eat cashews.
That taste like chili.
Cashews or.
No. That's all fat, no fun.
Yeah, but it's protein.
Overnight, China state news outlet China Daily reporting Elon Musk proposed testing the full self-driving features of Tesla's cars in the Chinese markets by deploying them as taxis. The report said officials in Beijing may have offered partial support for that plan, including doing some robotaxi tests in the country. It says authorities didn't immediately approve widespread use of those full self-driving functions. I saw the other day on X, Elon had a video of leaving a parking garage, never touching the car, plugged it in, left the parking garage, drove 50 miles to the destination, never touched it. So it is close.
Yeah.
It really is close. You like driving, Sorkin? Are you ready for that? You like driving? I don't think you like driving.
I prefer not to drive. Cryptocurrency exchange FTX has amassed billions of dollars, more than it needs to cover what customers lost when it collapsed in 2022. The company says it will have as much as $16.3 billion once it finishes selling all of its assets, and it only owes customers and other creditors about $11 billion. The extra cash will be used to pay interest to the company's more than 2 million customers. The surplus in cash is mostly due to a general spike now in prices for various cryptocurrencies, including Solana, a token backed by former CEO Sam Bankman-Fried, who was convicted of fraud. Court documents filed late yesterday show some creditors could recover as much as 142% of what they are owed. Most customers will get paid about 118% of what they had on the FTX platform. Now, it's important to say this, the day the company entered bankruptcy, and Bitcoin obviously was at a lower point then. So
it was like at 20,000 then versus 60,000
for some folks who might have held on, though it's unclear, some people would have sold during that period between now and then. But, it's a remarkable shift from where we were a year and a half ago, when John Ray was saying this was one of the great frauds of all time, and that he was never, that there was no money there.
Well,
and that to me is
John Ray is still saying it's a fraud, and that.
I'm not saying it's not a fraud.
Shareholders get nothing. This is just people who had money on the platform. So customers are going to be made whole and interest based on where the price was.
But the whole idea that we used to debate this all the time.
Yeah, I know. I still think I'm still on John Ray's side.
I think what John Ray said, if you go back to look at his comments about what he thought the amount of money that would ever go back to the creditors would be back then compared to what's happened now, is like a night and day situation.
Well, that's been a great situation, but the other stuff he had said is that this is crazy fraud. This wasn't like the accounting that they had that took place for this. Basically, there was a slush fund that said this is the money we're using. It was a crazy spreadsheet that.
Sure, and Sam Bankman-Fried is in prison right now for that. So we're not going to disagree about that. I just think that he made it out very early, and I actually think, and it's going to come up in the appeal for Sam Bankman-Fried. One of the things that happened during that trial was that the jury was told repeatedly that customers were going to all lose their money. That was what was said over and over and over again. And so a jury heard that, and that was in the opening, in the closing, and during all of the testimony.
Well, to be clear, none of these customers have had access to any money over the course of this time. There were hardship letters that were sent in about the people who haven't had access.
Correct. But the idea that ultimately right now you're going to get your 142% of your money.
Celebrity endorsers that got paid in.
They would not get their money.
They're not creditors?
You sure?
I don't believe that they would get all their money. Someone we know on different networks saying I think he expects to get. Tom Brady's going to get his money back?
No, not him. Somebody else. But that and I.
Kevin O'Leary?
Yeah, I kind of was like saying, what, for 5 minutes you get $15 million, and now you're calling yourself one of the people that lost
all their money.
And I think that eventually that. He still to this day says that's my money, and it's just like any other money. Right. It doesn't matter whether I was being compensated or whether I put new money into it. I don't know.
Cheese will be next.
Coming up on Squawk Pod, electric vehicle maker Rivian. The company's stock is under pressure after reporting first quarter results, but CEO Scaringe is optimistic about electrification.
Our goal is to take the more than 90% of customers who aren't buying electric vehicles today and give them an awesome choice, something that's really exciting.
This is Squawk Pod from CNBC.
You're watching Squawk Box on CNBC. I'm Joe Kernen. I'm with Becky Quick and Andrew Ross Sorkin. Rivian, following the company, reported a larger than expected loss, although revenue was slightly above estimates. I know we're going to talk a lot about this company today. It firmed guidance for a gross profit, though, in the fourth quarter. It's also sticking by its plan to build 57,000 vehicles this year as it works to retool its Illinois plant. And we're going to hear from CEO Scaringe, and Phil LeBeau is in the house.
You know about all the speculation about Apple
and Rivian.
And Rivian.
No, what is it?
Well, I don't want to gossip. We'll have to ask him about it. But there's a whole bunch of news reports.
I don't want to tell you the gossip.
There's a whole bunch of news reports.
Far be it from
Go
you.
search on Google.
You can go search on Google. There's a lot of news reports that say that Apple could be talking to Rivian about that. This could be. They may try to do.
This
some
would be
kind
the
of
Apple car, you mean?
I have no idea. That's why I don't know what's going on. But that's why we want to talk to him. One of the things I would want to ask him about.
Well, he's here. He's
You
in the
searched
house.
we could search on Google or Perplexity, which I tried
That's
yesterday.
interesting. Did you try it out?
I did try it.
And?
It seems like it just collates a bunch of crap from different places. It just like goes to Google.
I think it's
goes
good.
to
I've been
Twitter.
using it for about 6 or 8 months. We had the CEO of Perplexity on a couple weeks ago.
I remember you did the interview alone, and yesterday we talked about it, and Stan said how much he loved the guy. I looked myself up, and I was actually kind of proud because I didn't realize that I had served in the Navy in Vietnam, which I thought was kind of cool. I wish I had.
That was interesting.
I wish I had, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't. So they still make mistakes, I guess, right?
Well, I think all these things make mistakes.
Yeah. Also said some other stuff that it kind of reminded me of maybe, is it totally down the middle? Is it kind of totally down the middle?
I don't know.
I think they all are. I just think they all are. I do. And I had people writing in saying, I searched, are there good things about Trump? Are there good things about Biden? And the guy said, if you look at it, it's just like all the, but I guess maybe there are horrible things about the tangerine tyrant versus the other guy, right? The decent man.
There's some objective.
Yeah, right. It's raining, like your facts. It's raining outside. Yeah, okay.
Phil LeBeau is here with us on set. He's got a special guest who is joining us at this point, too.
Yeah, let's bring in Scaringe, CEO of Rivian, the company reporting their Q1 results after the bell last night. Wider than expected loss. RJ, your stock is under pressure today, and I think a lot of people are looking at your guidance for the rest of this year. And on one hand, there's a relief that you affirmed your guidance in terms of production and your targets that are out there. On the other hand, I think people are looking at the EV market, and they're not sure what to expect. What's your take?
Yeah, I mean, there's an ongoing discussion just around how rapidly the entirety of the automotive industry is going to electrify. And, our view and our conviction is still very much that over time we'll see the entirety of our vehicle population move to electric propulsion. But this is going to take time. And key for that is giving customers lots of choices.
And speaking of choices, you've got the R2, which is your next model, which is a crossover utility vehicle or a small SUV, however you want to phrase that. You're going to build that in Illinois. You're going to have lower CapEx this year, in part because you're not building in Georgia. Are you confident that you can begin production by the end of next year and start deliveries perhaps in the first quarter of 26?
You and I talked at the launch event for our R2 and our R3 products. We couldn't be more excited about it. This is exactly what we're talking about in terms of creating customer choice. And our decision to launch the R2 out of our normal Illinois facility, as you said, was not only to drive capital efficiency, but importantly to remove risk from the launch and also to allow us to start deliveries in the first half of 2026. And we're incredibly confident in the product and confident in the execution of that launch.
RJ, a lot of people say we're entering an EV winter, if you will, and that it's going to be tougher to sell EVs to people, especially here in the United States. What do you hear from most of your customers? Are they coming out of internal combustion engine vehicles primarily, or are they coming from other EVs?
Yeah, the significant majority of our customers have never owned an EV before. So their first EV experience is through the lens of Rivian. And that's really our goal. Our goal is to take the more than 90% of customers who aren't buying electric vehicles today and give them an awesome choice, something that's really exciting and desirable and great value for the money, and pull them out of their internal combustion vehicle into an electric vehicle. And we've done that with the R1. So our R1S is not only the best-selling EV over $70,000 in the United States, but in California, it's the best-selling vehicle over $70,000.
You have agreed to make Rivians compatible with Tesla's charging network, and that you'll be able to use the supercharger network at some point. Are you worried about Elon Musk basically gutting the supercharger division at Tesla?
We're really excited about the way we've approached charging with our partnership with Tesla. We have a great technical relationship with the teams within Tesla, and for those who have used our vehicles on the Tesla network, it's very easy. You drive right up, you plug in to charge. All the payments, all the back end work is our software team worked on with Tesla's software team, and that's still very robust. But in addition to that, we're also building out our own charging network, what we call the Rivian Adventure Network. This summer, we'll be opening that up to non-Rivian customers as well. And and key for charging network is uptime. And there's very few networks that have very high uptime. Of course, Tesla's network, 99-ish% uptime. Our network also about the same, 98.5% uptime. So these are incredibly high performance networks, both of them. And as we continue to build out our network, in addition to what you see with Tesla, we really think this is an important part of pulling more and more customers into electric vehicles.
Hey, RJ, there's been some speculation, you've seen the reports about a potential partnership between Rivian and Apple, which of course killed its own car ambitions, but may still have other ambitions, and people are speculating that maybe a partnership with you could lead to something. Can you speak to what's going on?
We don't comment on speculation or rumors on these types of things. I would say that as a company, we've got a history of great partnerships. Our largest shareholder is Amazon. And that partnership we're starting to see manifest on the roads every day with our delivery vehicles that we build for them.
Let me ask you in one slightly different way then. You have been very outspoken about having your own operating system for the Rivian. I think that's clear. You spent a lot of money and time building that. Would you ever share any of that space with a potential partner or not? Yeah,
it is a great question. We've approached the entirety of the electrical architecture, the network architecture, so it's all the ECUs or the computers across the vehicle, and then the software that sits on top of them, from the view of building that ourselves. So it's all vertically integrated core technology. It's been the foundation of a lot of what we built as a company, and so this certainly has value outside of beyond just our own products. And there are lots of different ways we could look to leverage that. But we don't have anything to comment on today, but it's certainly something we recognize of significant value.
All right. RJ, hey, thanks for joining us. RJ Scaringe, CEO of Rivian, after the company reported their Q1 results. Lots of news, guys.
A lot of news this morning.
Next on Squawk Pod, NBC Universal Vice Chair, the Queen of Cable TV, Bonnie Hammer.
When I started out, my first job literally was cleaning dog poop.
How she built her career and her advice on finding a mentor that pushes you, like media mogul Barry Diller did for her.
The best mentors are foils. They are drill sergeants. They put the tough in tough love. And trust me, Barry is and was very, very tough. But he taught me how to think.
That conversation is right after this. You're listening to Squawk Pod. Here's Becky Quick.
Stand Becky by in 3, 2, 1. Cue her, please.
Our next guest has been hailed as the queen of cable TV. She also has some essential career advice for women, particularly those who are just entering the workforce this graduation season. And she turned some conventional workplace advice on its head. Want to welcome NBC Universal Vice Chair Bonnie Hammer. She's got a new book out this week. It's 15 Lies Women Are Told at Work and the Truth We Need to Succeed. And Bonnie, thank you so much for being here.
Pleasure. I'm delighted to be here.
Great to see you. And we think this is for men, too.
Yeah, we do.
Just want to say.
Just talking about, and I will say, I don't like advice books. I don't like self-help books, but this is different. And when I read this book, it's like listening to you talk, and you are a straight shooter, and you cut right to the chase on things. And you make fun of some of the silly things that are kind of, these little sayings and platitudes that go out that we're supposed to listen to as life rules. And that's, I think, what it grabbed me the most. Things like lean in, know your worth, fake it till you make it, you can have it all. You turn all of those things on their head.
Well, they're dangerous cliches, and they make for a dangerous manual for growing up in a work world. And I think if we believe these sound bites, it's like a misinformation campaign against everyone, in particular women. So I also agree with too many advice books, but there are not enough books out there that expose bad advice.
Agree.
And that's what I'm trying to do here.
Agree. And again, I think the reason that this really grabbed me is because you speak the truth in a way that most kids are never going to hear these things coming in. Not just kids, people later in their careers too. Let's talk about some of the great practical advice you give out. And because it's graduation season, and because I have two daughters myself who are in college and who are coming home and who are out there starting to look around in the workforce, some of the things you say is the truth is the lie is know your worth. The truth is you have to work on your worth. Right. Explain what you mean.
Well, I think we conflate personal worth and professional worth. Everybody has, personal worth. You're born with it, and you deserve to be treated right in life, period, end of conversation. But the only way to prove your worth at work is to work at it. There's a belief that personal worth at work is intrinsic. You have to earn it. I think the kids growing up right now kind of grunt at grunt work. When I started out, my first job literally was cleaning dog poop. And was it beneath me? Absolutely.
I still do that. I did it yesterday for 2 German Shepherds and a Corgi. And it was like 2 weeks worth.
This was your job at public television.
Yeah, no, I know. This was a job. I know.
My first job.
I'm just telling you, I feel you. I feel you.
It was a Nepo hire, and this dog made more than I made, literally and figuratively. But what happened was, you follow the dog around, you pick up its poop, you do it with a smile. People are happy to have you around because you're optimistic and you're seemingly having a good time. And so when the time comes, they want you around, so they're going to bump you up. The reason I got promoted was because I did that stuff with a smile.
And by the way, despite all your connections, your son, Jesse, went to work in the mailroom of one of the big agencies.
Yes.
And he had to do the same thing.
And I didn't help him get anywhere. And he took a job in the mailroom, and he would come back and complain like crazy that, oh my goodness, they're not letting you use my brain. I'm smart, they're not letting me use my brain. And I would say, Jess, excuse me, you took a job in the mailroom. What did you think you'd be doing as opposed to writing scripts at this point or doing other stuff in basketball? That's not happening. But he was wise enough when he went around, delivered the mail, packages, whatever, he networked. He smiled. He made friends with the agents in this space. And it worked for him. And he looks back with his own smile right now and realizes, okay, I get it. And he's doing great now. But you have to work at your worth. You have to make people believe you're going to be around doing anything they ask you to do, whether it's running out for coffee or actually doing some thinking with and for them.
Another one of your lessons is just looking for mentors, and not just mentors who are supportive mentors, but also challenging mentors that, while they may be the most difficult to work for, while it may be hard to take constructive criticism or just criticism at points, they are the ones who are going to teach you the most. And one of your mentors, who was one of the more challenging ones, is someone who's a guest of the show, Barry Diller. He's someone we see pretty frequently too. You want to talk about your experience and what got you to that conclusion that these are good things?
Well, I think we're brought up to believe that mentors should be cheerleaders. They should be just giving you the rah-rah the entire time and being super supportive, being a friend. What I've learned, particularly because of Barry, is the best mentors are foils. They are drill sergeants. They put the tough in tough love. And trust me, Barry is and was very, very tough. But he taught me how to think. One quick story. He was my boss when, in the early days of running Sci-Fi. And we were about to launch a show, or we were trying to get permission to launch a show with a psychic. And Barry's question to me was, if psychics are real, why are you putting them on a science fiction show? If psychics are not real, why the hell are you doing business with them in the first place? We went back and forth, email all weekend long, and this was way before iPhones, so we were sitting in front of computers. Yep. Friday, Sunday, I was about to give up, and I finally came up with, okay, Barry, psychics are in the mind of the beholder. To prove that they are real or not real is impossible. It's not fact, it's not fiction, it's something in between. It's friction. Therefore, it's perfect for the science fiction channel. At 11 o'clock on a Sunday night, he writes back, okay, your arguments win, go. He forced me to think, to analyze, to debate with myself, to come up with something that was logical and right. So even if it failed, it would be okay because I thought it through.
And by the way, this was someone who, until that point, you really struggled with trying to work with him and understand him and get what he was doing. You had your kickbox punching bag. You painted his name on it.
I was petrified. I literally hid under the table for the first probably 18 months of working for him because I was so afraid he was going to ask me a question and I wasn't going to be able to answer.
What was the turning point for you to realize that, though? The value in it. Because I think sometimes people in the moment don't appreciate the value.
It was winning, getting him to hear you.
I think it was mostly in hindsight did I genuinely appreciate who he was, what challenging mentors were about, what sparring partners were about. But I was fiercely determined to make or want Barry to respect me. It was something about being able to survive it and get his blessing that made me want to stick it through. And I also watched a couple of people, one in particular, Stephen Rosenblatt, who used humor to deal with Barry. And I so admired it that I tried to follow and copy that a little bit. But it's in hindsight that you realize how much you learn from those people in your world, as opposed to those who pat you on the back. And I was lucky. I had some great cheerleaders, supportive mentors too. But in hindsight, the Barrys of the world really taught me.
Do you think entry-level positions, and if you're not entitled and you're willing to do it because of the promise of what can come down the road, do you think with all the talk we have now about living wages and everybody's got to make $25 an hour, is that the way we should do it? Should kids expect to walk right in and make $25 an hour, or because we see what might happen? There may be it may be all automated. There may be no entry-level positions left.
Exactly what you're saying. I think it's our generation, in some ways, my generation, who set kids up to believe that they are entitled the minute they walk through a door to better pay, better jobs, better tasks. And we created, A's for effort. participation trophies so they never fail, deferments from college rather than rejections from college. We created a world that the expectation is, of course I'm going to win, of course I'm going to succeed. I don't really have to be better or do anything more than anybody else does because I'm going to get it. I'm going to get that job. I'm going to get promoted.
And I can do it on 3 days a week.
Yes. And life doesn't work that way.
No.
And it's so important for kids to come in and learn and get experience because the world is changing. If you think about in college for so many years, you have to be a programmer, you have to learn how to code, and that's what kids were pushed to. Guess what? That doesn't exist anymore. AI is going to take that over. So learning practical skills, meeting people in so many different directions, not being afraid to get out of your comfort zone. Ultimately, when you look back, that's the thing that will help you.
So everybody should start by picking up dog poop. What do you think is that?
I'm a big sport of it. I have 2 dogs.
You remember Seinfeld's joke that the aliens looking down says, the dogs are the rulers down there because they've got people following
Scooping
them
up
around,
there.
scooping up.
It's
pretty true in a lot of households.
It is true. The dogs are the full. All right.
The book is full of lots of very practical pieces of advice that are useful and helpful, things that totally resonated with me because I've lived through it in my experience too. Bonnie, I just want to say thank you for coming in today. Again, the new book is out this week. It's called 15 Lies Women Are Told at Work and the Truth We Need to Succeed. By the way, I bought 2 copies already for my daughters, and I'm going to get signatures before you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's the pod for today. Thanks for listening. Squawk Box is hosted by Joe Kernen, Becky Quick, and Andrew Ross Sorkin. You can tune in weekday mornings on CNBC at 6 Eastern to get the smartest takes and analysis and interviews from our TV show right into your ears. Follow Squawk Pod wherever you get your podcasts. We'll meet you back here tomorrow.
We are clear. Thanks, guys.